Welcome to the final words. Spurs 5, Everton 0. Joined by Cam in the studio, freshly off a coach back from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. On another depressing away day for Everton Football Club.
Yeah. 7.5 hours there and it took them 17 minutes. It's good that, to be fair. It's good. Some doing that, you know.
Ratios.
Some doing.
Ratios. They stuck to the task. Stayed in the game for you for 17 minutes.
That's all you want, isn't it? That's all you can ask for.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this away form is absolutely terrifying, isn't it? 6 points away from home.
It's pathetic.
They had 4 of those 6 points in August.
It's pathetic. I've never seen a more pathetic set of footballers in my life. I've never have, honestly. I just don't know who they think they are.
Yeah.
I just don't know who they think they are. The way they... I just honestly, I just can't see it staying up. I just genuinely just can't see it staying up. And I mean that. And I just think we're awful. We're absolutely terrible. Like there's no shoots of recovery. There's no signs that Everton can do and will do enough. We are an awful football team. We are awful. We don't have any leaders. We don't have any strategy. We don't have any, anything. Anything I can think of. We're an awful football team that has been, 6 or 7 years now in the making of terrible football decisions that have led us to where we are right now. We're just awful. If I was looking at us from an outside perspective, I'd just look at us and think, I was thinking about the Villa team that went down, and I was just like, we're exactly the same. You keep on expecting something to happen because of who they are, but it doesn't happen. And I think honestly, I just don't think the players, whether they want to or not, will get us out of this situation, because I just don't think they're good enough. I really don't.
You've had saying there's no shoot to recovery or anything, but the home form, Everton have had 4 games under Frank Lampard at Goodison and won 3 of them and lost 1 to the champions and undeservedly lost it really.
Yeah.
So can we cling to that as the way that we're going to stay up is by that home form?
I'd like to hope so. If we are going to stay up, it will be by the home form. It's definitely not going to be the away form. I said a couple of weeks ago, I don't think we'll pick up another point away from home all season. We're that bad. They just fold after any little thing and they just fold to bits. There's absolutely no backbone. There's no grit. There's nothing there. But also the teams we've played at home, with the exception of Manchester City, in which we played well and were unlucky. Brentford aren't a very good footballing team. Leeds at the time, not a very good football team. And, we effectively played a Sunday League team last Thursday, and even that was difficult. So I think Sunday against Wolves will be an indication to that. Wolves are a decent team, well managed, structured. If they come to Goodison and, because they're a better team than we are, put a performance in and beat us, then you start sort of looking at it thinking, where do we go from here? What's next? But these players can only play when there's 40,000 Evertonians behind them. It's as simple as that. They can't play when they've got to take a bit of responsibility, when they've got to take a bit of, sort of accountability on their own. They can only play when there's 38,000 of us screaming and shouting and getting behind them. We saw it again. This is 3 away games on the run now where we've said that's our worst performance of the season. Yeah. Newcastle, then Southampton, worst performance of the season, and then yesterday, worst. And yesterday could have been 8 or 9. A, if Tottenham wouldn't have took their foot off the pedal, easily. And B, if Jordan Pickford hadn't made a couple of good saves. The last 15 minutes,
and that's with Spurs not getting out of second gear, by the way.
Exactly.
Because they didn't.
No, I know.
And they're not a brilliant football team. They're a good side. They'll fight for Europe, but they're not challenging for the title or winning, challenging for the Champions League. So I agree with Ped. I just can't see a way out personally. I can't, especially with the injuries.
Did the manager, including Dominic Calvert-Lewin, surprise you that he started?
Yeah, it was a massive mistake. Dom's not worth a carrot at the moment. The way we play doesn't suit him.
Yeah,
it doesn't suit him. When we played against Manchester City and Richarlison was pressing from the front, that's how we stayed in the game for large parts against Manchester City, by having 3 pressing from the front. Dom doesn't do that. And the irony is, under Benitez, we were set up to get loads of crosses in the box, but we didn't have Dom. And now we've stopped putting crosses in the box and we have got Dom. You're not going to get... And Dom in his best season under Carlo Ancelotti, so many of the goals where the ball was put in front of him. We don't get that far up the pitch to get the ball. We don't knock it long to him, and if we do, he was isolated last night. So I know there's a lot of people out there who look at Dom at the moment or the whole time and think he's not very good, or he only had a little spell. But I guarantee if he went somewhere that gave him good service, he'd score goals.
Yeah,
because he's that kind of player. I don't think he's the kind of player that you can play in a team that... It's a weird one, this, because it's like you're desperate for goals and you think he's going to give them, but you can't... We don't play in a style that's going to get him the goals, because we don't... You have to put crosses in, you have to put good set pieces in, you have to get people around them. I just don't see it. I don't see it. We've seen it now. 2 away games, Southampton and last night. Didn't do a tap in either of them. No shots on target. He dragged one wide last night. It's for me, it was a mistake. I thought the way we set up last night was we'd set up generally wrong in the first place. Yeah. But I think playing Dom, for me, all it does is create a situation where you're not putting pressure on from the front. He does allow the opposition a bit of an easy time.
He can go and press, can't he?
But he doesn't.
No.
He's not that kind of player. And I'm not having a go for him, but it's not like you're a lazy. He just doesn't. It's not in his makeup. He's just not in the makeup. He's not in the makeup of him. He's a six. He looks a certain way, so you expect certain traits from him. But he's not. He's more like a tapping merchant if you give him the service.
I think he's a back to goal, and he's an old-fashioned centre forward, isn't he? He's not like Richarlison's, I guess, is a modern day striker in terms of you can play anywhere across the front three. His movement's decent. He presses from the front. But again, he's not playing well either. He's not causing defenders to have to struggle to get through games, is he? Either of them. I think it might have been a case of he should have maybe gone with the 3 who played against City up there and left Iwobi in. And yeah, people will laugh at that because Alex Iwobi's not. But then Iwobi had a game away from home and didn't do a tap either. And this is Frank Lampard's big problem, isn't it? Is that at Goodison, they look like one kind of team. They look comfortably enough to... If you looked at them at Goodison the last few games, you go, they're not in any problem, no way. And then you look at them away and go, they'll go down. And that's the thing. That's the thing, is that they stepping, like you just said, to have 38,000 screaming and telling you where to go and how fast to run. We're never going to have that when we go away from home. Yeah. So how are we going to get... we've got Liverpool away, 0 points, no chance there, because this team isn't mentally tough enough to be able to, or switched on, or athletic enough. Arsenal away. Generally, I know we won last year there, but we normally get beat there.
Be over by then.
West Ham away. If you were resolute enough, you could actually go to West Ham like we did last year and grind it out. But we're not resolute. And Leicester away. Depends what Leicester turn up. If they turn up and they're pressing and on Vardy, then... So then you're looking at the 2 games which would be pivotal away from home, which is Burnley and Watford.
I don't see us getting anything out of them two either, if I'm being honest with you. I think those 2 teams will, again, not only will he be at home, but they're also in the similar situation to what we're in, and they'll be looking at Everton now thinking, that's 3 points. That's a big 3 points that we need to get. This is a problem that's gone on for years. Ancelotti said it, didn't he, at the end of his first season? It's a double-faced team. Ironically, that season, we were good away and awful at home. But they just...
By the way, don't get stuck. We are awful at home now.
Oh no, we are awful.
We are awful at home. We've been awful at home all season. We've just picked up a little bit under Frank Lampard. It's not a case of we're good at home and we are shocking at home as well. We've just picked up under Frank Lampard. You don't find yourself in this situation because you're one or the other.
No.
That's what you get mid-table if you're one or the other. We are shocking at home as well. It's just that we've picked up under Frank Lampard a little bit. So, and that's because our standards were so low under Rafa Benitez. Yeah. So it's not a case of like we are great at home, we're not. And that's the other terrifying thing.
I think for me, the last 2 away games, We started reasonably well. Southampton, we were all over them.
Yeah.
And then
Should have
once
had a
we
penalty.
didn't get that penalty decision, and Alan got booked, it kind of evened out. In the second half, they were the better side. Last night, for the opening 10 or 12 minutes, we had all the ball.
Yeah.
But we didn't create anything. We didn't create a thing. And that's what's so frustrating, is that Spurs broke and we were 1-0 down. Without, you know, at one stage in the game, we were 2-0 down, they'd had one attempt at goal. And that only Everton can do that. You know, and let's have a look at the first goal, because the first goal, Stills, not we haven't got the rights. You know, the first goal, this is the ball, Session's just playing it, he's going to play it into that hexagon. Coleman's kind of level there. Session's running, isn't he? Ben Davies has played it. Coleman's kind of level. You're hoping he's going to get there first, and that'll take it on next to us. He isn't. He's outpaced. And this is where the problem is. This is where the problem is. Coleman gets there, but then stops without throwing any kind of blocking.
No. Yeah.
And the ball, where the arrow is, that's where the ball's going.
Yeah.
Michael Keane circled with Harry Kane, so Keane's ahead of him.
In front of him. Yeah.
Goal side. So at the moment, right, Coleman's not blocking the cross, right, but everywhere else is fine. Yeah. Keane's marking the striker. Kuleveski, John Joe Kenny's got his eye on, can see him. Yeah. That's fine. There's no other Spurs player in the box.
Yeah.
Or around the box.
But what's Mason Holgate doing?
What's
he doing?
Mason Holgate's having a cup of tea.
But he's what's he doing? He should be covering the gap.
He should be covering the gap.
The gap, that he should be. Like, if that James Coleman there's been outdone, and he shouldn't have been, and that's problem because he thinks he's going to win it and he's not, because his legs have gone. But Mason Holgate, as a Premier League defender, has to know, or has to think, that ball, it can only go one place.
He's got to go
and he's got to be there, and he's got to block it. He's got to block it. Michael Keane is wearing wellies, and he's against Harry Kane, so you know what's going to come next. So that's where Mason Holgate has got to be covering.
Well, Holgate's got to cover, but that's where the ball's going, where that arrow is. You take it on again to the next one. Right? Now, I've done the arrow. The ball's in the back of the net at this stage. It's in the roof of the net. But the arrow that I've done is where the ball was going. There's no other Spurs player anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Right? So that ball's going across the goal. Yeah. If it's left by Michael Keane, it ends up for a Tottenham throwing.
Yeah.
An Everton throwing, right? Now, people might say, well, Keane can't leave it. But of course he can leave it if he knows where Harry Kane is.
Harry Kane off.
Because when you're facing your own goal and you're throwing a leg at a ball,
it's never going to end well.
You know, we went down to Norwich in January, and a ball's going across the goal, and Jordan Pickford's got a comfortable take, and he throws a leg at it, and we're 1-0 down because he wrong foots the goalie. Last week against City, he gambles that ball's, and he's got so much weight on his other foot.
He's in sinking sand.
He can't move. He can't move his foot, and we lose the game. Just take it on again for us, Ned. There's the ball, right? There's the arrow of the ball.
Kane's nowhere near
Kane
it. It's
is nowhere near the football. Nowhere near it. So Michael Keane can just let that go across your body, right? If someone comes in behind him and knocks it in, it's on John Joe Kenny.
Yeah.
But as you can see, Kuleveski's nowhere near doing anything with it. For me, that's throwing shocking. Your leg at a ball across there, you're putting yourself under all kinds of trouble. If he just goes like that, because he can see Kane, so there's no reason for him to throw a leg at it. Kane's nowhere near it. And then you get away with that. It goes for a throw-in, and you go, all right, we go for him there. We go 1-0 down, calamitous. What do you think? You're thinking, stay in the game.
Suck it up.
Get your shape up. Yeah. Get hold of the ball again, and let's see if we can get back into the game. And
you suck it up.
Typical Everton style.
But we sat and endured Sam Allardyce, right?
Endured.
But the point being,
what days they were.
The only time it happened was in Arsenal when he threw the game before it.
In all fairness, Spurs done us 4-0 at Wembley. The week before the Arsenal game.
There was games like that which
But that was early on, and it stopped. But when he got rid of it.
But when he got in, there was games where we would, I'm just pointing at one thing. I'm just saying, he was the kind of fella who, if you went one behind, you didn't go two behind. You stayed in the game because you might get a chance. Anfield was perfect. This team, he sort of drove that mentality. For too long, these players, Michael Keane's the biggest one, and James Coleman's in there as well, can't get away with it. They're in this headspace of, one goes in and then that's it, we're done. Frank Lampard came out against Southampton and he said, we went 1-0 down and they all just stopped doing what they were told to do. Yeah. And it was the same last night. Started okay, brightly, neat and tidy. Goal goes in. That was it.
Goes out the
window, yeah. Everything goes out the window. Because these players aren't mentally tough to stick to doing what the managers ask them to do. And it'll never change. It'll never change with these players. It'll never change. These players need to just get rid of as many as you can. We mightn't have any choice in the summer, but people like Michael Keane, see you later, mate, in a bit. One of the worst Everton players I've ever seen in my life. One of the worst, by a mile. People talk about Carl Tyler and these people when in like 98 and all this kind of thing. He's as bad as anything.
Especially for the money we pay for him.
He's mentally fragile. Mentally fragile for a start. He doesn't know how to defend, by the way. He's not a good defender.
No.
Don't let anyone ever say he's a good defender. He's not a good defender. I said it on day one when we had a pre-season in France and he's letting people walk past him. He does not smell danger, and that's a perfect example of it. He does not know how to defend Harry Kane in that situation, which is just get your body in front of him and, like you've just said, let the ball go past you.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing there is you've got to know as a defender. We've had defenders like Dave Watson, Richard Goff, who were in the late 30s, in that position, where they just stood in front of Kane, knowing that he wasn't going to get it, and the ball just whizzes past.
But they know, even with that...
David Weir, people like that.
Even with that, though, even if Kane got there, and it ends up on the roof at the net, you can turn around to Holgate and go, why weren't you screening? I'm running with him. He's ahead of Kane, so he knows where Kane is, and he can see that Kane's not making that ball. Let it go across your box.
Yeah.
You know, can Pickford come and take it? I don't know. Maybe Jordan's going, no, I can't. But there's nothing behind.
Yeah.
There's nothing behind it. John Joe Kenny's covering that. What's wrong with having a scan? Where are we? What's here? See the picture? Throwing your leg at something in the hope it's going to hit you and fly back there, it's unlikely when you're so close to your goal. It only takes
But it's body position and all kinds, isn't it? It's all those things. If you know your body's in a certain way and the ball's coming over pace, if it hits it goes in. So it's all about things like body position. We seen Mina do stuff like that before, but he has his body in a way that he knows the ball's going to go in a different direction. People go, oh, it happened dead fast or blah, blah, blah. It's Premier League footballer.
Yeah.
The levels are...
The money's being paid.
Sunday League.
No, I know, but
let that run
the levels that these players play at are just supposed to be the highest in the world. He's atrocious. He's absolutely atrocious.
Well, that was the
Whichever dickhead give him a 5-year contract needs... He's probably already gone. But honestly, he's absolutely horrendous footballer. And we'll go down in the pantheon of one of the worst players who's ever played for Everton Football Club for what we paid for him. He's shocking. Absolutely shocking.
I think it's more the mental side of it than the ability side of it.
I think it's the ability as well.
I think he's an average. To me, he's just an average defender.
He's a low block defender.
Yeah, no, that's what he is.
Burnley defender, that's what he is.
If you don't put any space in behind him, he can head things away, and he can get clearances in. That to me was just scandalous. And then you stay in the game. 2 minutes later, we're 2-0 down. Let's have a look at the stills from the second goal. This is where Everton had possession of the ball here and give the ball away. And Spurs break on us. And you look at it and go, okay, Michael Keane's got Kuleveski there. That's fine. Son is marked by Mason Holgate. Yeah. That's okay.
And we've got a spare man.
We've got John Joe Kenny.
And Decore can see him.
Is there. We've got John Joe Kenny. I think it's Anthony Gordon running back.
Gordon.
Or 2 over there. And James Coleman. There is someone behind Coleman, but he's 20 yards on the touchline. I think it might be Session. Yeah. So that's the first one. So that's Kane. Because people aren't committed to putting a tackle in on him. I think it's Alan and John Joe, isn't it? That neither of them actually mean the challenge. Yeah. They're just kind of ambling over. Kane gets a little toe poke on it. Take that on for us, Ned. Knocks it on. So it takes out Kenny and Alan. Michael Keane turns the wrong way. Now, Mason Holgate really should just stay with Son.
Yeah.
He should stay with them, and he doesn't. Because look at the gap.
But Seamus Coleman, though, as well there. Seamus Coleman, his first instinct is once he comes inside, his first instinct should be, where's the danger? Go into that. Go into the space there. That's the first thing.
Look at the thing, though. Right, Son is there. Holgate's okay. Kuleveski's got it. There's a huge gap between those two defenders. So Holgate, if he just stays with Son, he's not popping it in. And then what it allows Michael Keane to get closer to Kuleveski.
Yeah.
If he bends one in, that's a different thing. Like, we take it on again. Keane's out the game now because he stepped away from him.
Look at the
Holgate stepped away
Holgate's
from
having
him.
a cup of tea.
And look at
Seamus hasn't come over. There's the 2 runs. That's the ball. Son's running in behind. Have I got the next one, Ned? No, the next one is he rolls it on and Son hits it and Jordan Pickford should save it. And we're 2-0 down within 3 minutes of each other. So the game at 0-0 after 12 minutes,
But
Everton in the game, it's all okay.
That's a whole defensive unit.
That's terrible.
And do you know what the other one? We'd already had one before this.
Yeah,
when
Kane
Anthony
missed the
Gordon
sitter.
had to come back.
Yeah.
Anthony
Gordon come and nicked it.
Keane goes right out to the wing.
Yeah.
And then a couple of little quick movements and he's past them. And Anthony Gordon... And Anthony Gordon has to come back and take it off his toe. So we'd already had a warning. But it's the units. It's like Carragher said on the Monday Night Football. It's the unit. The players, like, in that day, you can, for every single player, you can pick a hole at. Seamus Coleman should be coming over and closing the... Who's the half smoke the fella over there?
But he's on, Session's on the touchline.
But Anthony Gordon, that should be going over. Then that should allow Seamus Coleman to come inside. And you're filling
the space, though.
You're filling the space.
If you go to... If you've got the ball, and the defender comes to you, and the gap's just big, well, you only have to touch it off, and the lad's in, and that is exactly what he done. Why defenders? Or why are defenders? Because other defenders don't seem to do it.
Not a midfielder in sight.
There's the ball. I've got to go and... Because Alan's been taken out the game.
Yeah.
Donny's out up the pitch and the core. Because we had the ball and we give the ball away cheaply. If I've got the ball and you're coming towards me and you leave a big gap, what am I going to do?
Yeah,
I'm just going to pop it. If you back off and make sure I can't pass it, you're making me think, I've got to run now, I've got it, right, am I going to get the shot away? It gives Ped the opportunity to get back with me. Which, as it happens, Michael Keane gets close to Son in the end, who has a shot. And you think, if you'd have just ran with Kuleveski and Holgate would have just stayed with Son, the chance probably would have gone. And we'd have got away with it. We didn't.
Because they rush. They rush and they just rush towards the ball. They just get attracted towards the ball. And
that's kids footy.
That's exactly what they are. That's exactly what they are. They're just kids. They're just awful. It's so... chase the ball, get to the ball, instead of just, where's me man, where's the space, I'll move into that, I'll stay with me man. It's just, I need to get to there. And teams like Tottenham, who were a good side, not great, good side, they'll just make you pay for that. Instantly, how many times did they have? I can't count how many times I went, it's about 2 mile offside there, and the play was about 3 mile onside, because of how much space was left.
Both goals are because we're allowing space behind our back line. Like, why are our defenders that far away from the goal?
Why is Alan leaving his position to go and engage your ball on the wing?
Yeah.
It's ill discipline from all of them. Where for me, people can disagree with this, but I would have just told us to sit on our edge of our box last night against them.
Yeah.
For the first half at least.
Tottenham don't want the ball.
And just say, frustrate them. Frustrate them for the first half an hour like we did against Chelsea and see what happens. 5 minutes at a time, keep frustrating them. You're in a relegation battle. You want to take a point here, a point there. We're not good enough to beat Spurs. We ain't good enough to beat Southampton. We're not good enough to beat Newcastle. Why? Because we went there with a little bit too much of a gung-ho thing of, we'll get something here. But it was like, well, no, what we should have really done is sat on the edge of the box and said, come and beat us. Come and beat us. Yeah. And that's when Michael Keane is all right. Yeah. And where Mason Holgate is all right. We seen that last week in City.
Yeah. Yeah.
Players are told to do a job and sit on the edge of the box and they can do it. Squeeze the space.
Yeah.
Make them beat you.
Yeah. I was listening to what I was watching, Tim Sherwood, which is Tim Sherwood, doesn't he? But he said before the game, he said Tottenham don't, it'd be interesting because Tottenham don't want the ball. Yeah. He went, they want you to have it and they want to pinch it off you and catch you out of position. And because Son's movement's great and Harry Kane's fantastic at getting his foot on and Kuleveski's give them something a bit different, they'll nick it on you and you could be in trouble. It's exactly what we did. We should have gone, you have the ball and let's see what you do.
Time.
And we'll keep it tight because at worst, we get a clean sheet, we get a 0-0 and there's a point on our side.
That's like a win.
And if we'd have got a 0-0 at Southampton and we'd got a 0-0 at Newcastle, we'd be now sat here with 3 points away from home going, we're all right. You know, we feel better about ourselves when we did.
It's hard to know. I think it's a little bit naive from Lampard, but then at the same time, like he said last night, he didn't tell the fullbacks to run out of
And
position
leave
and leave
space,
space behind them. So what can you do? You know, you it's I don't know. It's just a mess at the moment.
I think if we go and have a look, you know, we're 2-0 down, stay in the game, we didn't. Let's go and have a look at the third goal, 'cause this was equally as bad. Everton actually have the ball here, and we give the ball away. It goes back to Lloris, who spoons one up in the air. It's not even a great clearance, to be fair. And Michael Keane should win the ball, and he doesn't. He goes with Kane, it bounces.
Is that him circled?
So he's circled with
What's
Harry
he
Kane.
doing there?
Right, so he's a header. He's lost the header, basically. Right, so he's there with Harry Kane. Move it on one.
Isn't that what he's good at, winning the header?
Right? No. Well, normally.
What's
but not
he
again.
doing
Right.
there?
What's he doing there?
What's he
He's
doing
in
there?
centre
Look at this,
midfield.
though. Look at this, right? We've took it on. There's a frame before it because the ball then gets sprayed here into midfield and it's going back now to, I don't know whether it's Doherty or Bentancur or whoever it is, or Højbjerg. But look at Kane. Already he's got a couple of yards on Michael Keane. Now don't forget he started level.
Yeah.
And this is Harry Kane, who isn't fast.
Can I ask a question?
Kenny
Is
as
that
well.
our back four?
Yeah.
There's the back foot. Mason
There's the back
Holgate
four, yeah.
in the middle.
Like that,
Right,
diagonal.
and Seamus Coleman is it. So the back four.
Well, there's 5 of them, isn't there?
1, 2, 3,
There's
and
5.
Coleman's here.
No, Kenny is playing. I know he's already on side, but Kenny is
Kenny's
basically sat next to
playing,
Pickford.
Because they should have been in a straight line.
Yeah,
and they're not.
exactly. He should have been closer to.
Joe Kenny's there. I don't know what Mason's doing. But already Michael Keane's in trouble because Harry Kane, who can't run, has ran 2 yards away from him. Right, play it on net for us. That ball goes there. And Keane, running back, still hasn't made up any
The 2
ground
yards,
on
yeah.
Harry Kane. And Harry Kane smashes it off, he's like he would, smashes it past Pickford. You then go and he looked offside. You look at the VAR, he's clearly
yeah.
onside.
But that's a perfect example,
clearly
isn't it?
Onside.
That's a perfect example of
The offside line.
just
non-existent.
where what
We were like that as a defence.
Yeah.
John Joe Kenny deepest, Holgate there, Keane out of position, and Seamus over
to
here.
me though that's a perfect example of where we went wrong in the game. Of why are all our defenders that high up the pitch? They suckered us up. We've fallen for that, and I think the manager has to take a little bit of criticism there because I don't understand why you're going to Spurs and you're falling into the
Why
trap.
is Michael Keane going to try and win a header with Harry Kane?
Yeah, where's the
10
midfield?
yards,
midfield.
10 yards
where's-
inside there. Huh?
Where's the midfield?
Yeah, where's Van der Beek? Where's the
Where's the
corner?
defensive midfielder? Who's sitting in front of the back four screening? Nobody. There's nobody. Why isn't someone grabbing hold to Alan saying, fucking stay there. Stay, that's your position. And if we can't keep, we needed it. If you're going to play 3, you've got to have someone sitting. We bemoaned having 2. We've got 3 now. Have one of them sitting. You've got to. You've got to. Because that is just a fucking mess.
Because that area...
Are offside traps like that?
But
Well,
that's
that's
not an offside trap though. What that is just players edging up the pitch because the rest of the team is. And that's a strategy. And that's, I don't understand
Yeah,
that.
but like Cam's saying there, though, if you're edging
They're
up
on
the
the
pitch, right, you stay in the line. Why is
Michael
John Joe
Keane-
Kenny
No, I know.
so deep, though?
No, I know.
Because
That's
he's a
what I'm saying,
fullback.
though.
He should be in line with
That's
a
what I'm saying.
centre-back.
That's what, that's what's being alluded to about the back four though. That's why it's been called the Championship back four. Because it is
That's
it
harsh
is
on
all
Championship
over
back
the
four.
place.
Yeah.
It's like that. Where it if it's going to be hard, like you've just said, at least be in a line so you can catch him offside. There's no discipline. No discipline there. There's no discipline in the back four. There's no discipline in the midfield. They're all just all over the place. Spurs are dragging our players out of position. This is what...
Why did Everton struggle last week against Boreham Wood?
Because they were disciplined.
They just stayed.
That's what I'm going back.
Stayed,
Yeah.
and
But
we
that's
were like,
what I'm saying, though.
well, hang
I
on,
don't
how did he-
understand why we've gone to Spurs and we thought we were going to like play them. I've got to say, I think Lampard's been very
But
naive there.
has he done, all I will say, right, and I don't know whether this is right or it's wrong, right, but has he done that, it is naivety, but has he done that thing, that risk and reward?
Are we good enough to play ourselves out of trouble?
Not away.
Are we good enough to play ourselves out of trouble at our own?
Well, under
What I mean, though, no, what I mean,
what I would say is under and I can only go under Lampard because there's no point thinking about Benitez. We were dreadful.
Yeah.
But under Lampard, he's had 4 home games. He won 3 of them.
But what I'm saying is, and I don't want
this.
this to sound like I'm having a big go at Frank Lampard. But what I'm saying is, though, if you were to put our team and their team, you'd say their team were better than our team. So therefore, in my head, I look at it and go, well, you know you've got to play a tactic which stops Son and Kane from playing. And we've just literally we just sprung a trap.
You know what's so frustrating, right? That's what Leeds did against Spurs the other week. Because Leeds tried to beat them they were miles open and Tottenham just went bing, 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 and it's 4-0. It could have been
But even Man City did that. Man City did the same thing.
City did what we don't. You don't,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying,
why
though.
City
But
did
that's
it.
what I'm saying.
But, yeah.
City have tried
And
to do
got
that at home
conceded
because,
three.
of course, they think they're going to beat them. And, of course, on another day, they would have beat them.
yeah.
But they've put 3 past City.
When Wolves and Southampton went there and were organised.
Exactly.
And both beat.
Middlesbrough.
And that's
Middlesbrough.
surely that's got to be the first instruction of any manager.
Well, do you think, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's ill-discipline.
It is.
Because he did bemoan people leaving gaps.
No, I know.
And we know this.
And that's
because
why I'm
we
not-
watch this team
and
all the
that's-
time. We know that this team doesn't stick to
And
what
that's,
it is.
That's where I'm not having a go at. I'm not like having a go for Frank Lampard, by the way. I'm just pointing things out.
No.
That's where the next thing comes now. Because you can have...
Well, can this be a watershed?
It can be a watershed if all those players fuck off.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
out the team. He's now got to make big decisions about players, and now this. But this has always been the biggest problem, and it was, to be fair, it was a big problem for Rafa Benitez, because you look at the players we've got and go, oh God, we haven't got any more players. That's been the problem all season, is that every time you turn and you want to change the team, you look at what's available and go, we haven't got anyone else. Like,
But hang on, right? No,
what I mean, look at the centre backs.
No, I know.
Who comes in?
Right, well, Ben Godfrey's back
Yeah.
in, isn't he? Right, Godfrey walks
Yeah.
more by default than what his performances have been.
He's better
right?
than those
But
two.
he's better than those two.
And he hasn't been great either this
No,
season.
he hasn't, but he's still better than them.
Yeah,
If
well,
you
I'm
glued
I'm
them,
better than
if
Michael
you
Keane.
glued them two together, he'd still be better.
Yeah.
Because he's more competitive,
Yeah.
he's quick, and he likes to tackle, which then, But what I would say is, and I do agree, but what I would say is we're playing a back four that we've pieced the left back together because he's a right back.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
out of contract, and we've put him in, right? We've got 2 international fullbacks in the squad who aren't getting in our first team, who we brought in January, right? So you can look at it and go, well, you can look around now and go, well, it isn't working with what I've got. So am I going to change it up and go, right, I'm gambling on these 2? Or not gambling, I'm putting them in and going, I'm trusting you.
Yeah.
You're a young right back, you're full of energy. Like you said, we were talking before off camera, they're more likely to listen to instructions.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. He's got the benefit of those 2 players being more or less blank canvases.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that Patterson wouldn't have been legged as much last night
of course he
by
wouldn't.
just being,
Well, he's just
because he's
well,
younger and
he's got better
faster
physical
and just
attributes.
doing the job he's asked to do. And sometimes you've just got to do that. The problem he's got is that we could have a whole new back four next week if we were in charge. But the manager will look at that and think, you can't always do that. And this is the problem he's got. He's got 3 midfielders really to pick from. The only other one's Andre Gomez. He's got nobody else.
No.
We've got more wingers than, we've got wingers we don't want, players we don't need. We've got players like Dele Alli sitting on the bench. You've got players like El Ghazi sitting on the bench. That aren't...
Our top goal scorer. Townsend sat on the bench.
But we don't know how to use them because the system just doesn't seem to work, and that's the next thing he's going to have to do. It's like it's a case now of, do you continue letting these people get away with, like, I honestly think he thought he let Michael Keane get away with murder last night. Okay. I'd have just have said, did you not see his first half performance? That's why he came off.
Yeah.
I'm not. I understand that you want to put an arm around and protect certain players, but I just think sometimes I've just gone tactical. It's tactical sub. Could have took him off for concussion, so if he really wanted to.
Could have took him off after 15 minutes.
But we've let. But this is the point, though. I'd have took Southampton. I'd have took Gomez off after 15 minutes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At some point the manager's got to appreciate where we are as well and go, this is not looking good, and start sending some messages to players. I got to start getting tougher with some of these players because they're just not good enough. And we said loads of times, the likes of, Seamus Coleman and Michael Keane. I remember the Norwich game actually tweeted those 2 players should never play for Everton ever again.
Well, both were dropped the week later.
They were by Dunk, yeah.
He dropped the pair of them.
And then people were like, why aren't they playing? It's like, didn't you watch them last week? But because people were brought in who were terrible, it's like, it's the ultimate circle of shite.
The problem he's got, and it is a big problem, is, as well, like Cam just said before, it is 2 faces, isn't it? Because at home, they look all right, and away from home, they look shambolic. So when you're manager picking that team, you're looking and going, right, well, which one is it? Yeah. Well, when you've picked that team away from home, it's lost 3 games. And like you said before, each performance has got worse away from home. Whereas at home, we've looked good. But what do you do away then? Do you go, well, hang on. See, what I would do away now is I'd say, right, what we're trying to do is I want to play this expansive football, but the position we're in, I don't think we can. Maybe at Goodison we can, because with the crowd, the Boyd, and we get on the ball and we'll create chances. But away from home, yeah, I think you can have two different game plans.
Well, can you not play expansive football in a organised manner? And what I mean by that is, you said about Spurs. Spurs want to sit in and then hit you on the counter attack. Isn't that expansive? Doesn't that suit isn't that suiting what they want? Aren't you? But
you need discipline.
But aren't you? But isn't that the manager's job? Isn't that the manager's job to create?
No, it is. But what I was trying to say was that yes, it is. But it's who you choose to be disciplined. Now, if you're only picking them same players and they're not doing it, then they can't do it, can they? But those players might be ones who at home with the crowd are the ones that get you the wins. So you have to look and go, right, well, you know what? Away from home, I can't play Donny van der Beek because or I can't play Dominic Calvert-Lewin but you know what I mean? Or I can't play John Joe Kenny and Seamus Coleman away from home because they're not. Because the odd time that we do get out of our half, we have to have our fullbacks advancing.
Listen,
because we need to be able to go to places and stay in a game, whereas we might nick a goal off a set play.
Seamus Coleman will start on Sunday. I'm 100% believe that. Because the manager will go back to the last home game and go, well, he give us this and he give us that. But then what happens in the next away game? Does he decide then, no, I'm going to start Patterson this game?
I don't think he fancies Patterson, you know.
He doesn't
fancy him. It's early days.
He doesn't fancy him. He doesn't fancy Michalenko. But then...
I think it was harsh to hook him after 45 the other day.
No,
and to not have him in the squad at all.
No, I thought that was a ridiculous decision. I thought that was a ridiculous decision.
I just think there's something there that he just...
The lad
maybe it is because he's too young and he's not inexperienced.
The lad might be crap in training for all we know. The lad might be crap for all we know.
I think he's got the attitude.
But at some point you've got to look at what's on the pitch and say, I've got to start giving other people an opportunity. Look at Anthony Gordon from this season. He was our best player last night. Yeah. He worked his bollocks off, run through brick walls, won his fouls. You know, okay, ultimately he couldn't quite deliver the final ball or whatever, or get into the areas he wanted to get in. But he did what's required from any footballer, which is just give 100%, and he did. You know, even early on, coming back and a saving tackle to keep it at 0-0 early on. Little things like that. The lad makes runs and does things that other people simply don't do.
Yeah,
now, he wouldn't have got into the team if Rafa Benitez hadn't given that little bit of a chance in big games, Old Trafford. And I think what's got to happen with Frank Lampard is he's got to accept that some of our players are done. And I personally think Seamus Coleman is very much in away games finished. At home games, I think you can just about get away with it. But Patterson, for me, has to start getting more. Has to get the games away. Got to, because the last 3 games away, Seamus Coleman has been fucking abysmal, and I mean abysmal to the point where you just you can't even say it.
You're damaging his reputation because he's been a
What was it Gary Neville said? When it got to a point with him, he just thought, I can't
do this. He played West Brom or Stoke, whatever it was. And after it, he went, I'm done. I can't physically keep up. So what's
maybe
the...
And Gary Neville conversation with himself.
Was a brilliant brilliant fullback of like Premier League.
He won't, but the manager he's got to look at the away games and think, these are just going to start targeting him all game because he can't creep up the pitch.
Good teams will target him at home as well.
They targeted him last night, didn't he? Yeah. They targeted him last night. Session stayed as wide as he could, just put chalk on his boots all night, and then then he made the switch, and every time he knew he was going to beat him, and he did. Yeah. And there was nothing he could do about it.
Remember how many times he gave the ball away for 3 of the goals, Coleman, because got away from one man, and then there was no options, and he eventually just passed it.
2 minutes after the half-time
The one he gave to Anthony Gordon was shocking.
I know we were 3-0 down, like, but
so
you've got
you were going to stay in the game a couple of minutes after the second half starts. 4 straight away.
Even if you put John Joe Kenny out there, I mean, it's either Patterson, because I think he's the future.
He's athletic.
But he can get up and down. He doesn't have to be a great defender.
No.
He doesn't. Ben Godfrey's not a great defender.
No.
I don't think Ben Godfrey's even a good defender. But what he's good at is running very fast.
He's an athlete.
He's very good at running fast.
Tackle,
so if last night had happened, and you can play a high line with Ben Godfrey, because you know
he'll get back.
He can get back. So you can do that. You can't do that with them two. But with Ben Godfrey, and that's so. If you had that at right back, you had a lad who you knew he'll get back here without a problem, and all he has to do is make sure. Look at the first goal. If that's Patterson, let's say, and he's switched on and he sees it, he gets back and he blocks it. It goes out for a corner.
I think you made a good point about Coleman as a whole. He was never been a good defender. He was compact. He was all right. He was a great attacking fullback with pace. Exactly.
To get you out of trouble.
Exactly.
It's not the thing with Seamus Coleman is it's said it all along. It's not his attitude that lets him down.
No,
it's his
body's letting him down.
And that's that. Every
Trent Alexander-Arnold a good defender. Is Kyle Walker a good defender?
Not particularly.
No. Walker's pace gets him out of trouble.
Both of their pace get them out of trouble.
Trent Alexander-Arnold
isn't
very good defender, but going forward is unbelievable, and that's why he's in. Reece James is
That's
powerful.
the modern day, innit? Seamus Coleman was almost
But Coleman was the start of it. He was an attacking fullback who got goals and assists. He was up and down. He was a threat.
Yeah.
Now he's not the same fella, and I don't want it to get to the stage where people just start giving him it all the time because he doesn't deserve that. But he's also got to have a little bit himself and go, you know what?
I think the manager's got to see it though.
But the manager has to see it.
He's got to see it.
He's
got to see it and see that. James Coleman's never going to throw the towel in. Not a chance on earth. Not a chance on earth. The manager at some point has got to say, and that's why I just thought it was stupid taking Patterson off at our time the other night.
Yeah.
I just thought there was no need for it.
Yeah.
Like, you want to give a lad a chance.
Yeah, should have just took.
Just leave him
should have took Kenny off if he's going to take. Because John Joe, we know we can do a job.
Yeah.
So there was nothing to gain by leaving him on.
Yeah.
We know that he can do that job. He was playing supposedly the third centre back on the right, which is fine. So we know. So you're not learning anything. But Patterson should have stood. We weren't going out, were we? We weren't going to get beat because they
had nothing.
They didn't want to shoot. Yeah. They didn't want anything. And
like a team full of nets.
But
what a team.
But that's what a team is.
What a team.
But that's what we need. But the other thing as well is it is ill discipline. It's ill discipline from your midfield. We come out for the second half. Michael Keane went off. We come out. Jared Brantway comes on. Coleman goes up the pitch, gives the ball away. And a bum. Then looks like someone had shot him with an invisible gun in the box because he just went down for it. The ball come and he just stumbled and fall over. And Reguilon's just come on and it's 4-0 like that. You know, and then...
How long was he on for?
Brantway.
Reguilon.
Oh, Reguilon was on for 30 seconds or something, 32 seconds.
And he's a left back.
Then, straight from that, we give it away again. And they get in and Brantway clears it from, which could have been 5 immediately. And the kid's 19, and he's screaming at everyone around him, going, what the f... And they're all like that, looking down at the feet. And it's like, he's just come off the bench, he's a kid.
Yeah.
Where's the pride?
Yeah.
You know, and then the
fifth leadership?
The fifth goal.
There's no leadership.
It's the same. We give the ball away again. And Matt Doherty just pulls off Seamus Coleman. Kane pulls off Seamus Coleman. Holgate doesn't even run with him as a centre-back. And it's a great ball. It's a fantastic finish from Harry Kane. What a player. But Mason Holgate, if Seamus can't see him, Holgate has to go.
Gotta see him.
I have to go with him. And he just watch him like that and go,
great goal.
That's a good finish.
Good finish, that.
You know, and you're
got
like...
him in my fantasy team.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
So it's like, where's that, like, you were there was 3,000 Evertonians, Monday night, gone all the way to
freezing
London,
cold.
Freezing cold.
Yeah, M6 was shut.
And then players are walking around. It's only Anthony Gordon who ran his bollocks off all night.
Yeah. Brantway, I thought.
And Brantway did quite well second half. He done what he could and he put tackles in and things like that. You know, and you look at it and go, where's the rest of them? Where are the rest of them?
I think loads of them have given up.
I think loads of them.
I think loads of them have given
I
up.
think they've given up.
I'll be
You know
honest.
what
they're not bothered.
I think the big issue is, at home, we'll be all right. Whether it's enough to win game, like to stay up, I still feel like we will, but I think it's going to be very close. I think at home we can do it because we don't let up. But I think you're absolutely right. I think when we get on that coach or plane and go somewhere else, once it go, you said it before. Once a goal goes in,
There's no
or
belief.
something goes, they just
There's no
kind of
belief.
go. They kind of go.
There's no
It's
belief.
over.
There's no belief.
The manager said the other day.
there's no
The
belief.
manager said in a press
don't
conference
believe
the other day, I get this feeling. We've got to change this.
Yeah.
We can't win because
this
it's
is-
away. Where's that coming from?
How can professional Premier League
But
football
this is
have
where the
that
thing
feeling?
comes back on the fans, though, where people
Absolute
always go,
disgrace.
how do you, as fans, why do you always, like, throw the towel in and all this? It's like, because I'm watching this team.
We've seen
I've
it.
watched
We're
this
not
team.
throwing the towel in.
I've
We're
watched
just
this team loads of times.
understanding the towel's being thrown in by them.
Seen this, people make a joke about it. A bookmaker has put I won't mention them because they haven't paid us. Put a video out today of this Everton, self-help group, and they're all booing and stuff, and it's just like people laugh
Is
about
it
it.
the red bookmakers by any chance?
It's what?
The red ones.
The Irish ones.
Yeah, he's owned by. It was his isn't he?
Yeah. And there's this joke that, like, as fans, we're horrible. It's like, we're not horrible.
No.
We take 3,000 down. You know, people are trying to get tickets now and travel to sort of go to Palace. We've got one of the best away forums in the country, bar none. We don't win games. We've won something like less than a quarter or less than a fifth of our last 100 away games. I think it's less than a fifth. We are shambolic. Yet we sell out Goodison every week. We expect we expect players just run round. And people give us fucking shit because we don't sit there like those knobheads with their scarves up singing fucking nonsense songs because they go to Disneyland once a year. We're fucking working class fans who sit through this shite and have sat through this shite, get ridiculed everywhere we go because we're not fucking Liverpool fans. Why would you want to be an Evertonian? We get ridiculed left, right and centre. We get treated like shite. We get fucking every decision goes against us. But we still are there and people give us shit while these knobheads get away with absolute fucking murder week in and week out, and it's all of them. And the minute that first goal went in last night, the game was over.
Done.
Because those players decided the game was over.
Yeah.
Those players decided that. Those players decided that was it. The game was over.
Yeah.
And this is, I said this about when we played under Rafa Benitez. The same thing happened. And I know everyone hated Rafa Benitez. And Baz will go back to when Marco Silva was in charge, and that's fucking perfectly fine on that. It's the same things. Players decide when games of football are over.
Yeah.
The manager doesn't decide it.
But the manager proved it, didn't he, by saying we conceded one and they just stopped doing what
the
they were
players
told.
don't decide. The players decide it, not the manager. The players decide when the towel's thrown in.
Yeah, of course.
Doesn't matter who the manager is.
Top players.
Little things
Top
like
players,
little things like under the set pieces against when Rafa Benitez players moving out their zones, and then zonal marking criticised. But why are you criticising zonal marking when fucking Michael Keane walks out of his zone and burns heads in against Brighton for Brighton?
Yeah.
Because he decided he didn't want to follow the plan.
Yeah.
And last night, and against Southampton, and against Newcastle, exactly the same. They might. Do you not like the plan? Do you not like the? If you don't like the, don't fucking matter, mate. You're an employee of Everton Football Club,
Yeah.
and he's the manager.
And he's telling you.
And
what to do.
ultimately,
Yeah.
he's the one who'll get sacked because you're a gang of shit houses.
Yeah.
And Michael Keane has been through fucking more managers than you have hot fucking dinners, my friend.
I've been through a lot.
And you have been through a lot. And it's to get away.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? You're a manager. You set it up. You assume them players are gonna stick to the
Especially if they're telling you in training every day. Or they're doing it in training every day.
And you're following it in training, and you're as the manager go, right, we look like we've got this now, so this is what we're going to do. You go there, you step out of trouble.
And guess what happens, though? Guess what happens? Pictures like that third goal. When players have all decided that they don't want to do what the manager wants them to do. And that's what it ends up with.
Yeah.
Players all over the place.
That's why last week I was impressed with Borough. I know they weren't very good, but I was impressed with them. They come to Goodison, they're not Premier League footballers, they stuck to the plan. Even at 2-0.
And it took us,
they
what,
didn't go,
65
you know
minutes?
what, I want to try and get a goal because I want. They just stayed to the plan.
We're a month in. We're a month into Frank Lampard, or just over a month in. And these knobheads have already decided that they're not interested in playing the way he wants to play. Because guess what? It requires discipline.
And hard work.
It requires hard work. It requires brain cells to stay switched on for 90 minutes. And these knobheads have already decided they don't want to play it. Well, you know what I mean? And I can sit and critique saying, well, I think we were a little bit open last night. That's not up to the players, though. I'm allowed to critique it, you're allowed to critique it, you're allowed to critique it, we're allowed to critique it. They're not allowed to critique it in real time.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to.
Just do what
They're just not allowed to.
You just do your job.
You just
and
do.
At the end, if you do your job and you get beat 5-0 and you've all done your job, you can turn around to the manager and go, Gaffer, that was crap. The plan was rubbish. It didn't work. Look at it, we've done it. But you can't. They can't sit with them now and go, your game plan was rubbish. Because all he'd go, if he was sat here now,
that picture,
if we were sat here now and you were naive, he'd go, well, the plan wasn't naive.
Yeah.
We had them organised.
Yeah.
We knew what we were doing. You can't legislate for Seamus Coleman stepping there or Michael Keane smashing it in his net.
And he'd be perfectly right.
But we can go back to so many away games under different managers where the players have thrown the towel in and gone, oh, and you can't do that. You can't go 2-0 down after 17 minutes and go, it's over. Yeah. You can't. You've got to go. If we get a goal on half time, just right on half time, we can turn this game around. That's how you have to think. Whatever level you play football at, whatever level you played at, and whatever level I played at, I never ever believed the team I was in wasn't good enough to beat the other team. Yeah. And that other team could have been at the top, brilliant, and we could have been mid-table or lower. I'd always think, we'll beat these. If we played well, we'll beat these. Yeah. And I'm sure you did. Did you ever go onto a football pitch or you go and we've got no chance?
Yeah, I played for loads of shit teams.
Okay. Yeah, but even in them games, did you think we haven't got a chance today? I bet you didn't.
No, not if I was playing. Of course we had a chance.
You know what I mean? And I bet you didn't.
No, but these are professional footballers.
These are professional footballers. So
they're millions and millions of pounds a year.
So they're elite level ability footballers, right? I know it doesn't look
elite level,
but that's what they call it, right?
At elite level,
they're playing at elite level, so they've got there somehow, haven't they? Right? So they should be able to go, well, right, it is the game plan, and I've got enough football and ability to be able to do my job.
But you just
right, and if you do your job and stick to it, and they're better than you on the day, they beat you 1 or 2-0. Not 5-0, and like you said before, they went at 5-0.
But if you do your job,
pipe and slippers.
If you do
that's
your,
what they did.
If you do your job, and then you're telling the fella next to him to do his job, and the fella is telling the fella next to his job, and stick to your job and keep doing your job and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it for 90 minutes. That's how you win games of football. And then it becomes automatic.
Listen to Roy Keane on Sunday for United. He was like, what the fuck are you doing? Gary Neville said the City threw the towel in. When it went 2-1, they threw the towel in.
They're the same as us.
They
had just a better version.
United had 4 touches in City's box in the second half in a derby of a game where City are top and they were 4th. Yeah. So that the gap between them should have been not that much. They threw the towel in. Keane's saying, you put a tackle in. Why are they going as if they're going to make the tackle? We do the same. We go like, going to tackle you. Oh, no.
The best 2 teams in the country, right? Again, talking to Andy the other day, a couple of others, saying about a list of what you need, right? And there's just one thing that I said on the list that's all you needed. You believe in your manager. If you believe in your manager, everything else then comes. Hard work, everything else. Now, I'm not saying they don't believe.
I was going to say, do you think they don't believe in Frank Lampard?
I think some of them don't believe in Frank Lampard.
I don't know if I'd go that far. The problem is, I just don't believe they believe that. I just don't believe that they think we can play this kind of football in any circumstance.
But they were all kicking up a fuss.
No, I know.
Under Benitez because he didn't want them to play any football.
But that to me, and you're hearing this coming from Man United, that to me sounds like a bunch of players who have got too much to say for themselves and don't know who the manager is, I don't know what that comes. And to me, that comes down to senior players in the dressing room standing up to everyone else and going, "Listen, shut the fuck up. You're in a very privileged position." Seamus does. He comes out and he likes to say, but he can't do it on the pitch. There's no one on that pitch. Seen it last night. How many times, Baz, do we have to sit here and say, where's that fella who walks around to the players and goes, what the fuck were you doing? What the fuck? Well, they can't, because Seamus Coleman, and because they just turn around and go, what was that? Yeah. That's the problem. We don't have a Pickford's the only one, and he makes a mistake last night. But you know what?
The only one he's done.
He
made a mistake, and I'll give him that, because he barely made a mistake in a year. So I'll give him that. fair enough, mistakes happen. But he's the only one who honestly can say, I think when the first goal, he went like that.
He had to go Seamus.
He went, why are you over there? But because Seamus is the captain, it's almost that thing of like, well, you can't really have a goal with him because he's the captain. And that,
No.
you can't.
It's nonsense.
There's so many.
Have a go with
There's
anyone.
so.
Shouldn't be the captain either.
Well, he shouldn't be the captain.
Shouldn't be the captain.
Because he
But
shouldn't be
you
in
can
the
have a
team.
go with anyone. Just because he's the captain,
of course
still
you
should
can,
be
you can
saying,
have a
you're
go.
not doing your
But there's
job.
no one in midfield who dishes it out. There's far too many people also, by the way, protecting their own reputations. Because you've got the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who thinks he's untouchable. You've got Donny van der Beek, who's not an Everton player, so probably feels a little bit like, ooh. And then you've got Anthony Gordon, fucking hell, he'll end up being the captain next
Give him the
season.
armbands.
Is Van Dijk their captain?
You've got...
Not when Henderson plays.
They don't need...
He's still screaming and shouting.
Yeah,
But they
absolutely, yeah.
Top teams
No, you're right,
top teams don't need captains
That's what
because
I'm saying.
everyone's a
That's what I'm
leader.
saying. But he's still
Everyone's a
screaming and
leader.
shouting at people. He's
Everyone's
still
a
moving
leader.
people.
It comes down to just pure leadership. Never mind who's wearing the armband. When you're centre backs,
But hang on, right, okay, but it's dead easy to sit here and go, but damn, this is wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. And you're right now, I'm not going to say you're wrong because who knows? I think we'll stay up, I do, but I think it's going to be it's going to need a huge effort.
It's going
to need a huge effort.
I think it'll be a miracle.
But he's in it at the moment. We're right in it. He's in it. What can he do? You said before, he come in. There was no he signed his contract on deadline day, the same as them. So he was in the mid. So what we have to try and do is he has to make some big decisions now. He's got to weed out some of these players. These players who are letting him down, are not following the plan. And I guess the tricky thing for him is now it's the chicken and egg, innit? Yeah. You've got, do I blood Patterson and Michalenko and just go, I'm playing you every week, right? Or do I stick with the tried and trusted two lads who I know will give their all, whether their all's good enough, as in Seamus' case right now, he's struggling a bit. Do we keep Kenny and Coleman as our fullbacks? Because we're getting nothing off them away from home. At home it's a bit better because of the crowd and naturally the way we have the ball. What does he do? Does he create a new culture by going, I'm gambling because by putting these two in, I'm not convinced that they're good enough, but they give me better balance. Michalenko at left back gives you naturally better balance because he's
got Godfrey. Hopefully, that Godfrey back
will make
a big difference because you adds the pace, so you can have a higher line, more protection, cover that left hand side for Michalenko to come in as well. So that'll make a difference, and then he can then maybe he'll leave it for a game and then decide whether Brantwaite can come in or all the other positions, and then maybe one by one he starts looking at them all. But he's got to make not drastic changes, but he's got to understand that drastic changes are going to be needed going forward, whichever way we slice it.
And then he's got to say to Alan, if Alan's going to be the defensive midfielder, he's got to say, mate, you have to sit. You can't charge here, there, and everywhere because you're leaving a big gap and we're getting done.
Yeah.
You know, there's got to be that discipline, hasn't it? Because otherwise we are just going to get picked off in a lot of games because we're chasing things. Whereas when you're structured and well organised, your quality, and we do have quality in the final third. I know it didn't look like we had any last night, but we do have it. Dom, if you give him service, will get goals. Richarlison is capable of scoring goals. Anthony Gordon's been great. We've still got... We've got Damari Gray, who's been one of our best players and gets you off the edge of your seat. He can provide. Townsend's our top scorer. We've got Dele. There's players of quality in that squad. But it's no good if you keep throwing 2 or 3 in the other end because you can't get out of it like that. Let's have a look at the stats. Game stats. The pressing is what they are. 14 attempts to Spurs, 6 Everton, 7 on target for Tottenham, none for Everton. Isn't that the second away game on the run with no shots on target?
I thought they had more shots on target than
7 big chances, none for Everton, 55-45, 650 passes, Tottenham, 530 Everton. So we're passing the ball a lot more. There you go. It was a very, very comfortable victory for Tottenham, and there's not really much more to say on it. They battered us.
Yeah, it's just another disgrace, as I said, another throwing the towel in. You know, people travel all the way up and 15 minutes in, it's like, can't be bothered anymore.
It's got to change. We've got 13 games left to save
But
us.
can it change? Will it change?
To save the club. Well, it's on them. We can't affect it other than go to Goodison and
Yeah,
scream
no,
our
you're
heads
right,
off.
yeah, you're right.
And the away fans do it anyway when they go
Right.
away, but there's just less of them. So there you go. Big thanks to Cam. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. We're going to carry on question and answer on Patreon now. If you want to join that, the link is in the description. Thanks for watching. See you later. Off you pop.